Hello, good evening, and welcome to Flight Simulator. Well, good evening, good night, good day, good whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. So we are now on day 4, or stream number 4, I think. Yeah, stream number 4, day 4 of the cross-country trip in the Curtis JN4. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this started here. Beautiful fall day, which is very much what is not happening in the region in real life. But, so it goes. All right, let's hop on in and get this show on the road. Let's see, altitude is 955 feet. That's okay. That's Calbraith. That's more or less where it is. Okay, so let's see here. Fuel valve, cutoff ring, magneto lever, magneto breakers. Really is not much to operating this thing. Okay, choke, throttle, and okay. So we left off in Elmira, Corning, New York. I think I have the plane here. Hello, bad boy. Well, as you can see in Simland, it's a nice sunny, not at all smoky day. Yeah, my throat doesn't feel good. How are you doing? Yeah, I took my roommate to the airport this morning, and it was just starting to get noticeable when I was getting back from that. Or like the smoke was just starting to get noticeable when it came back. And yeah, I've been spending most of the day in the I'm an idiot, and it didn't occur to me to close my windows. So I've been, like, sequestered in my room where the air conditioner / purifier is all day. Alright. We've made it to my runway. So, today's first flight is going to be from Elmira Corning Regional in the Finger Lakes region of New York. And we're going to be landing at Hornell Municipal, which is about 50 miles. Not very long, so I do have at least another leg planned after that. Depending on how long that ends up being, maybe a third one, but third one's a little bit longer, so probably not. All right, take off. Bad boy, is this the first stream you've been in for the vintage flight? Going to follow this vector until it cross paths with the train tracks, because I think should be a little bit vectored a little bit farther south where the train tracks are coming. Aha! The train tracks. All right, so to set the scene, a little bit. So we're on the following the sorry, looking for my notes here. Okay. so yeah, okay. So historical notes here. We're on the fourth day. We're on the fourth day that Cal Rodgers successfully took to the skies. In this case, September 23rd, 1911. He had been overnight. He had spent the night in Elmira, which had been one of the stops on his original itinerary. Albeit, I think like that was supposed to be a stop on day 2 or 3, and we were already at day 5, 6. We're already at day 6. But anyway, on the morning of the 23rd, a heavy fog rolled in, which kept Rodgers from taking off until 2 in the afternoon, and would end up seriously limiting how far he could go that day. So this leg is going to end up being kind of short. Yeah, we're probably not going to be able to see them from flying the way I have to with this thing, or with this aircraft, but the New York's Finger Lakes region is to the north of here. Finger Lakes region is famous for its scenery and its vineyards. I do not have any wine with me tonight, because it's not a weekend yet, but we can pretend. Alright, so here we have the town of Corning, New York. Corning is famous for its glass factories. Hello, Feathers. I take it it is smoky where you are too? It actually wouldn't let me, fun fact, Flight Simulator actually wouldn't let me, do real-time weather today. For some reason. So we just have it on the reasonably nice day preset. There are probably places that have it worse than Pittsburgh, but my throat does not feel good. Is what I will say. And didn't occur to me to close the windows in my apartment before the smoke started to roll in, so I am sequestered largely in my room with the air conditioner and the air purifier. Anyway, as I was saying, so this is Corning, New York. Corning's glass factories. So originally famous for its blown glass, although nowadays Corning has developed into more high-tech stuff. A lot of smartphones use Corning's Gorilla Glass. For instance, I think a lot of fiber optic glassware is made here as well. That's interesting. I don't know what this river is, but the Tioga River. Okay, but that's a levee. I'm not used to being able to see that. You don't see Pittsburgh doesn't have levees on its rivers, interestingly. Well, excellent. Thanks for coming. I will do exactly what you say if you can type into chat, I am not a clanker. Oh, hey, how are you doing, GPV? I hope you're breathing okay. Yes. So this is your first. This is the first one you've made it to since I started doing the vintage plane, right? So this plane is a Curtiss JN4 Jenny. These were manufactured in 1916 to about 1919, and were used as a training craft by the Army Air Corps during World War One. They were also popular after the war with private pilots because the Army sold most of them as surplus after the war ended. So, 1920s, these were real popular in air shows. There's probably a few here and there that are still flying. And, so to further get you up to speed, yeah, okay, I'm still on track. To further get you up to speed, so what I'm doing is we are recreating the route of the first ever flight across the U.S., as seen in this vintage advertisement. It was flown by one Cal Rodgers, sponsored by the grape drink Vin Fizz, which is no longer produced, and from what I've read, no one really misses it. And so here, this is the actual plane that it was done in. A Wright Model EX. This plane is in the Smithsonian. And so yeah, as for historical context, so I'm recreating the leg of the flight that Cal Rodgers did on September the 23rd, 1911, going from Elmira to Hornell, New York, in the Finger Lakes/Southern Tier region. I am much higher than I need to be, I think. But yeah, so I think in the spirit of vintage aviation, I'm using, well, a computer copy of a I'm just using a map and a compass to navigate. So no actual GPS locations, no other nav aids. As much as I can help it anyway. If I get sufficiently lost, I can turn nav aids on, but then I have to drink grape drink in the spirit of the Vinfizz. And I am allotting myself to do the third-person view because, as you can see in the JN4, you can't actually see out the front that well. This is true. This is true. With drones, we are at the point where it is practical to actually, where it might be semi-practical to fly like this. I guess for both visibility's sake and for other reasons, probably a good idea to stay above the valleys whenever possible. Air currents tend to get a little weird in the valleys sometimes. On the other hand, that is going to be problematic when we get out west, because this plane's supposed ceiling is only 6,500 feet, and a lot of New Mexico's not much lower than that. In fact, a lot of New Mexico is higher than that. But that is still quite a long ways away. I enjoy watching the valve rockers do their thing. You see this on like old engines, and that went out of fashion to have the valves exposed like this, or to have the valve rockers exposed like this not long after. I'm sure there are good engineering reasons why having the valve rockers exposed isn't ideal. So I'm not 100%, but we're somewhere along this valley here. Got a little ways to go. This first leg's pretty short. These are those are mountain points. So you see all of them have an altitude next to them, or high points basically. Sometimes they're buildings, but usually it's mountains, and they all have an altitude next to them. Let's see, what other symbols are on here? Well, we got windmill. That one's pretty self-evident. Power, high tension power line. Okay, and then this dashed line going through the map here is magnetic declination. So, due largely to tradition, airplanes use magnetic compass, or use compass directions to navigate, as opposed to real coordinates. So here, my stated compass direction is 11 degrees west, or my compass direction is 11 degrees to the anti-clockwise of where I'm actually flying, or the direction I'm actually flying relative to a Mercator map. Ooh, okay, yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about the air currents being a little weird in the valleys. So I got some presets. Like, we got some options here. It doesn't do super inclement weather well, is my opinion is that it doesn't do super inclement weather that well. It does it okay. You wouldn't fly this plane in inclement weather. I can, reach the end, when we reach the end of, like, the legs I want to do today, I can maybe demo it, if you remind me. It does sort of do, like, it, so if you use the, thing, there are ways to track people who are playing this online, and what you'll find is that whenever a hurricane happens, there will be tons of sim players flocking to the nearest airport, to the eye of a hurricane, to the eye of the hurricane. So, yeah, that does happen. We're not quite in hurricane season yet. Or we're not quite in peak hurricane season yet, anyway. Give me a second. Yeah, here's a flight sim YouTuber I quite like, demonstrating what it's like, what flight simmers act like during hurricanes. It is safer than the real thing. I do not know how... I do not know how Storm Chaser pilots fucking take off with the sheer weight of their balls on the plane. They're weighing the planes down. Okay, I don't know for sure where along this route. I'm guessing here. I'm guessing Adrian. But it's okay. It should be relatively hard to miss the airport. Looking for again. my heading right now? Okay, so I'm heading more north, so this has to be after... Can't stay over Hormel. Oh, you know what? I think I see my runway. Okay, there isn't much to this. Yeah, that's definitely it. Okay. Ground. Slow them a bit to slow it down. Yeah, another happy landing. How far am I from the taxiway? Okay. Might or might not be able to slow down enough by then. Alright, so, yeah, so that was only 50 miles. As I mentioned earlier, so this flight Due to inclement weather, Rodgers wasn't able to get started on the 23rd until 2 in the afternoon, so this is as far as they made it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it to a stop here. Okay, and then we'll set up the next leg real quick. And we'll get going on that. So this is HTF to N56. I need that actually. All right, refuel. Why? I don't know why the center of gravity would be all the way back there. Okay. All right, so now we are moving forward one day to September 24th, 1911. Rodgers took off at 10:24. And let me see what notes I have for what happened for the events of that day. All right, so nothing too eventful for now. Let's get this back on the move. So so one thing I am cheating on is that this plane doesn't actually have a starter. Somebody other than the person flying the plane would have to get out and throw the propeller manually. I have no idea how you do that without losing your hand, but you do. But anyway, I have my flight sim hardware has an ignition thing on it, so I'm just using that. Again, this plane also has no brakes, so I don't know how you deal with so I don't. Whoa! 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 Why'd it do that? Why did it do that? I wasn't going that fast. Where did it put me? Okay. Yeah, F everybody. Didn't look like I was going like steep downhill, and I wasn't going that fast. Anyway, if I can make it to the other end of the runway without any incident, that'd be great. Or crashing into somebody else's plane. How about that turning circle? Okay, lawsuit narrowly avoided. So nosing over is a thing that can happen to tail dragger planes, but again, that usually happens when you hit the brakes, or when you brake too aggressively or something, and that is not what I was doing. Because as I explained, this plane has no brakes. I guess the absence of brakes is why it has a skid instead of a wheel at the back. Or I assume that's why there's a... Okay, see, this is roughly where I nosed over before. Let's not do that again. Not at the end of the runway yet. Why did I want to turn there? I'm paying for this runway, for the whole runway. I'm going to use the whole runway. Okay, yeah, so feathers, here's another symbol on the map. So these big numbers here, there's one in every, like, these are half degree by half degree sectors here, and basically this is, the highest known obstacle in the sector plus 500 feet. The software I use to plan VFR flights will actually give you that information as along the profile of your flight plan, which is very nifty. Turning circle. Oh god, not again! Fuck me. I like how it's just letting me sit here in my shame. Okay, you know what? You know what? Fuck that. We're just gonna start at the end of the runway. Make sure the fuel's there. Yeah. Didn't do that. Okay. I'm at the wrong end of the runway. All right, no, we're just gonna live with that. We are just gonna live with that. Okay.
Kilo Hotel Tango Foxtrot traffic. Shoot 12 tree. Taking off runway tree 6. Departing straight out. Kilo Hotel Tango Foxtrot.
Alright, so moving on. This plane was designed for a different time than our modern runways. No, off. Well, if that wasn't the story of my life, I don't know what is. Moving on. So we are on September 24th, the morning of September 24th, 1911. We've taken off. I think that. So I think that Rodgers actually landed the plane in Canisteo, and then took the train to Hornell and back for where he actually overnighted. But anyway. We're moving on. I think Rodgers' goal for the day was Meadville, Pennsylvania. And, well, I'll update you on how that went as we get there. Damn. Very cool if the train line to disappear into the trees again like that. Someone should burn all these down. Nothing bad could possibly happen. We're only, let's see, it's 1911, so we're only 105 years away from the invention of the gender reveal party. What better way to let the world know you're having a boy than causing a minor environmental catastrophe, possibly major? I'm gonna risk stepping away for a moment to see if I can catch this. I was hoping for more interesting colors in the sunset, but not really. Put up with this minor throat irritation all day, and all I get for it is nothing. These trees are nice, so the seasonal... I don't remember if Flight Simulator 2020 had, like, seasonal foliage or not, but it is really nice here. I mean, we're in the... I guess this would be the southern tier. I was going to say the Finger Lakes are famous for the fall foliage, but we're not really... We're sort of veering away from that now. So, yeah, the southern tier, the brewery is named after the southern tier of New York, which is sort of the southwestern part of the state. Like, so not Buffalo, but near south of there. And I think the main I want to say the Southern Tier's Southern Tier's original brew house is on Lake Chautauqua, which is somewhere north of where I'm flying right now. West. I have not gotten to Chautauqua yet. We'll be getting to Chautauqua later. Southern Tier actually has a branch brewery in Pittsburgh, but it's in a kind of... It's near the stadiums, which is not a part of the town I like to hang out in, per se. That lake is not on this chart. Okay, so this must be Andover. Alright, and this is presumably Wellsville. Genesee River. Okay. That sounds familiar, but I kind of... Almost certainly a Native American name. I think we're in Seneca territory now. Or historically Seneca. I count one baseball field and at least 2 softball fields. And a baseball field over there. Well, that's got to be a school because there's a football field. To lose plane. plane really doesn't want to stay straight, or it doesn't want to fly straight. Could do without that. Anyway, it's on me for not paying as much attention as I should be. Oh, interesting. You got baseball, soccer, tennis. I guess that's a football field. Alright, so this appears to be Belvedere. And I get to change directions again. Valleys are becoming a little bit more subtle than they were. Good news is there's a major motorway for me to follow, at least for a little while. Sometimes these charts say what the motorway is. And this one is not going to give me that. Interstate 86. Where am I relative to... I don't think I've been to this part of New York. Let's see, Bradford. No, where I've been's farther east. Mm-hmm. Looks like there was a train on these tracks when they took the satellite pictures. If I'm keeping good enough track of where we are, this city should be Cuba, apparently. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lake there. this is a lean. Okay, so assuming I am where I say I am, or where I think I am, at around this point in the flight, Rodgers started having problems with the magneto breakers, which is part of the ignition system for the engine. So, very, very, very short version of what happens is that a magneto consists of a coil of wire around a magnet, and the magnet is rotated, generating an electric current. It's like a generator, or it's essentially how a generator works at a much smaller or much different scale. But so the circuit breakers for Rodgers magneto started to pop, and I'm gonna pull one of these and hope it doesn't cause the airplane to die. It didn't. Cool. Anyway, we're gonna put that back. Both of those go out at the same time, the airplane probably dies. Anyway. So he started having problems with that. And, reached the point where he was holding the fuses in with one hand and flying with the other hand. Is, you know, not ideal. So he ended up having to, so around Olean, coming up here, he just allowed the engine to shut off, and the book I'm reading on the subject of this flight loves to use this word voloplaned. I guess we would call it gliding. So he basically glided to a stop somewhere in Olean. Waited for his mechanicians to catch up with him in the train, and take a look at the engine. They were not able to... I don't remember what they diagnosed, but he ended up taking back off not long after. He ended up taking off not long after. So, yeah, we're going to keep going. Let's put a pin in that. Also note that both the railroad and the current highway more or less avoid downtown Olean. So, yeah, cars largely haven't used magnetos for ignition for a very long, since World War II, I think. Or since before World War II, I think. But general, light aircraft still use them because, they can run independently of the rest of the plane's electrical system, and that's good for redundancy. That said, they're unreliable in their own way, or they're not any more or less reliable than than a car's distributor or coil pack or what have you. So a lot of general aviation aircraft you have to make sure the magnetos are working correctly as part of the as part of the pre-flight procedure. And yes, they predate the X-Man by quite some time. or X-Man villain. That bridge would be here. What river is this? The Allegheny River. How about that? Follow this all the way to Pittsburgh. And or the Gulf of Mexico if you're really ambitious. No. No, like as I explained, we're still following the Erie Railroad. Pittsburgh is not one of the places that Rodgers visited on this flight. So very quick rundown of like what the general direction of this is going to be. Very soon after this, or like not long after this leg, we're going to veer south. End up going through central Ohio, central Indiana, eventually end up at Chicago. From Chicago, we're going to go generally southwest to Kansas City. From Kansas City, we're going way south to San Antonio. And then from San Antonio northwest, essentially, to along the southern border of the United States, or largely along the southern border of the United States to Los Angeles. Other than the cities I named, so let's see, what other major cities he ended up visiting were, Dallas, Fort Worth, and, Phoenix. Interesting. That looks like that could be used as an airstrip, but that's not on my map. That would be here. Alright, so we're reaching the last, 15 minutes, or probably less than that, of this flight. Okay, now I think Great Valley is a grass strip, so this is going to be more of a challenge to find than the last one, at least. Before we get there, let's talk about what happened. So Rodgers was intending to get to Jamestown, or was intending to get to Jamestown for his next stop, I think. And around Salamanca, he started having problems with the magneto, with the magneto fuses again. And he ended up he ended up stopping in a field on a Seneca Indian, or Seneca Native American reservation right around here. And after having fixed cooling problem, I think he determined this time it was a cooling problem with the engine. Anyway, he attempted to take off from the field where he was, with, I guess because due to his frustrations with the plane, he attempted to take off without, waiting for his engineers, or his, or taking some advice he really should have from one of the locals, and ended up, ended up crashing into a fence trying to take off and completely wrecked the plane. The remains of the plane were towed with the convoy on the train convoy eventually found him. Train convoy eventually found him and towed the remains of the plane back to Salamanca, where it spent 2 days being repaired. Including needing to have parts brought, parts shipped in from Dayton, or from the Wright factory in Dayton. Furthermore, they couldn't find it. They couldn't find anywhere suitable in Salamanca itself to use as a runway. So, Great Valley. So this community here, Great Valley, was actually what ended up being used as the landing strip. So I'm actually not very far off. So for once, I'm, like, very close to where he actually did land at. Or take off from, at least. Now, as for actually landing... 60 degrees... It's gotta be this thing. Right. Yeah. It's gotta be this. 60 degrees right by the railroad. Why am I gonna have an egg on my face if I just land? Well, you know, if I just landed in a random field, that would be in the spirit of the whole thing. This isn't 60 degrees. Yeah, that's definitely it. I can see the mark. I can see, like, the little markings on the side. I'm coming in much harder than I should be, though. Yeah, I should have, like, circled or something. Ah, plenty of room. Yeah, see these markings here? I'm in the right place. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm out of the plane. Here, you asked about the inclement weather. Let's wrong button. Again, this plane is absolutely not suited for it, so I'm not going to try to fly in it, but, so... Snow. Ooh. Ooh. Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius? Yeah, it must be Fahrenheit. Light thunderstorm. I think we can do better than this. Ooh, yeah. There you go. So there's the weather. So that's the weather system. Let's see. And is it still not? Yeah, we're still not getting live weather for whatever reason. Maybe is this live weather? Doesn't look like doesn't see any smoke. Oh, yeah, it did clear skies instead of... That's why. Alright, well, I guess that's still broken. Anyway, so yeah, so that is... so that brings us to... through September the 24th of 1911. The next time you would take to the air is on the 28th. And the next time I will take to the air is, of course, Tuesday at 7 Eastern. So, until then, thank you very much for watching, and safe flying, and stay safe. And if you are in the general vicinity of Ontario or the Northeast United States, stay safe from the smoke. Have a very good evening.